What's up, Periscope? Keith B. Dixon, it's official. How are you guys doing tonight? I'm doing a dual broadcast on Periscope and YouTube. So if you're a big YouTube fan, I'm right there for you. And then I'm going to rebroadcast this scope on Facebook Live, you guys. How you doing tonight? How's it going? How's everybody? Yeah, no music because YouTube is very strict about music, so I don't know if it would get cleared, and they would definitely pull the broadcast down. So no music until then. Hey, Levon, what's going on? How are you guys tonight? Hey, we're going to get started because I got a lot of information to cover. We're going to be talking about portraits tonight. My name is Keith B. Dixon. I'm a commercial photographer, commercial event photographer. I specialize in corporate event photography, large group photos, portraiture, landscape, and architectural. You guys, I'm across the board. I've been doing it for years. And tonight I'm going to take you behind the scenes into the Bomb Squad community. We're going to do a live edit on screen. It's going to get deep in here. We're going to go off the deep end, you guys. And if you're watching YouTube, I'm on YouTube Live. I'm still trying to figure out the whole live streaming part of it. It's still super brand new. It's up right now, you guys. So I'm definitely live streaming on YouTube right this minute. And all you got to do is just go to my channel and type in Keith B. Dixon. And I'm going to try to get on over there and so I can comment where I can see you guys' questions. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so we have a live chat on YouTube. So it's up now. I was a little late getting in. And there's a live chat over there. So if you jump in on the YouTube side, there's a live chat. So if you see me looking left and right, I just got all these screens all over the place. Let me see names and locations, and then we're going to get this show on the road very quickly. Names and locations, let's go. Captain Amber from Detroit, yes. LaWhite from High Point. Oh, there she is right there, yes. David from Greensboro, Maryland from Missouri, Stephanie from Florida. That was LaFaith. Terrence from Detroit, Chanel from Raleigh. What's going on, Chanel? Martin from Cleveland, Joe, you're on the treadmill. I heard that, my friend. Commander Mike, LaDon from the VA, Captain Lamar from Macon, Georgia. Yes. How are you guys doing tonight? I hope everything is well. Get out a notepad because I'm going to share some pretty intense information for you. Jersey Joe. There he is, Captain Joe, our Exposure 101 Detroit Periscope account. Nicole from Cincinnati. Yes, let's go. Let's do this. Are you guys ready? Let me jump right into this news and technology section. And as I see you guys get in, coming into the scope, I'll be sure to say hello. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them up very quickly. And that way I'll try to address them as we move along. So look here. I want to talk about something that's super important. And as photographers, we should definitely know. And that's our small claims, our rights and small claims. Typically, small claims ends about $3,000, and then you've got to go into the big leagues, you guys. Literally, when I say go into the big leagues, you might have to hire an attorney. It's going to cost you a lot of money if you're fighting a case where you might have a copyright infringement over $3,000. I know that's true here in California, and that could be expensive. That could chew up a lot of your cash flow. So what PPA is trying to do is pass legislation so that we can raise those limits and we can have a fair shot at enforcing a copyright violation. So here's how you can help. And it's in steps. It's really simple. And all they're trying to do is get a bill passed. We call it legislation. They're trying to get law passed so that we can, thank you, so that we can basically protect ourselves if the cost goes beyond small claims. So you guys take this information, and it's just right on PPA's website, and literally just go through the processes step by step, real easy. Sign up, call a congressman, and say, hey, look, what's being done about this? PPA's been lobbying on the Hill for a while now, and sometimes it could take years to get a bill passed. All right, there we go. And then here's another thing. I thought this was really interesting. You have to be a member in order to take advantage of this. And this is the new sales and marketing tools for photographers. Now, the PPA membership, I'm not exactly sure how much it costs. I think it's somewhere around $29 a month. You guys, look at all that you get. Video side-by-side comparisons, logos, ideals about how your logo should be, landing pages. I mean, it's just there's a lot of stuff here to help you market yourself. And here's what I'm going to say. The thing that really got me hooked, the one benefit and feature that got me hooked to PPA long before I was at this point, was the benchmark. I was able to benchmark my revenues against other studios that had, they did a study. They basically pulled information from all the members, retail and in-house. So people that were working out at running studios out of their home studios and retail locations, and they studied all the expenses and everything that they did and created a benchmark. And that gave me an idea of how much money I needed to use. Yes, you got to get on this. This is a major resource. The insurance, the reports that they put out, the education, all for $30 a month. I mean, it's just insane. So, and here it is right here. Here's the benchmark, indemnification, the competitions, and all that kind of stuff. It's just great information. And you also be sure to this year to take advantage of. I got to tell you, this is a stringent conference. I'm going to call it a stringent conference. The people that go to imaging, they're pretty serious about photography. It's a lot different than WPPI, a lot different. You have way more experienced photographers, people that own studios, people that are shooting full time. I mean, it's just a different environment. I'm not saying it's better, it's different. So, hey, Nicole. So Nicole just made it onto the YouTube side. So, thank you, Nicole. And thank you for commenting. I'm looking at your comments now. And here's our speaker lineup in alphabetical order. And as you can see, I'm right below Dixon. And so it's really big. And also, Haj Fleming is on here. He's going to be talking about branding. So there's Haj Fleming. And there's some hard hitters on here, you guys. This is serious. Oh, here's Monty right here. Monty's going to be talking about drones. So there it is right there. So, and I think they add speakers all throughout. Okay, there it is. Another quick announcement, you guys. As you know, this is coming up. This is major, X101. You guys, you know the deal. I don't even need to say anymore. Do I need to say anymore? If you're with me right now and you're excited about X101, Detroit, I want you guys to drop in 1.1. Let's go. 1.1. If you're watching on the web, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to comment, you guys. Feel free to comment. Thank you. Thank you, Lamar. And I'm just reading comments off of YouTube as well. So, Nicole, thank you, Nicole. Lamar says, this is a very nice setup. Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's dope. Because then, you know, what happens now is you can actually, on YouTube, you can actually watch this on your television. Isn't that dope? So that's why I decided to make this change, because we can watch it on the television. And I can actually watch the replay on the television. All right, there it is right there. Okay, so let's dive in. I'm going to take you guys into I'm going to show you a portrait. This is actually a test portrait that I made for a project that was coming up. And what I wanted to do was get a real good feeling for how I was going to set up my lighting. So this next image you're going to see is from a test shoot. And generally I try to work with, you know, models that understand me. And this is my son, Marcus. And as you can see, there's a lot of emphasis on the edge lighting, and there's not a lot of Photoshop. I'm just not a big Photoshop kind of guy, so I don't do a lot of work in Photoshop unless it's to clean up the texture of the skin. I actually had this image reviewed as well, and one of the things that they talked about was the flaring of the nostrils. That was probably the only marginal feedback that I got. Other than that, as you can see, the light is blending off the edge of his head, and I've got edge light on the back, and there's a lot of separation there. Although it's on black, there's a lot of separation, you guys. A lot of separation. Is that making sense? Is that making sense? Drop in 2.2. So this is a 3/4, and he's facing the light. His body's to the light. I want you guys to think about this. This is more of a classical style of portraiture. And this is from a test shoot that I did. Remember, you got to test. See, I'm showing these test images. There's my daughter right there, Stephanie. What's going on, baby? How you doing? So what I'm doing is I'm showing test images because one, I don't have to worry about the clearance, and two, I'm legally I'm safe, right? Because as you grow and grow, you got to be more and more cautious, you guys, about what you do. So there it is. All right, so I wanted to show you guys what edge light means because I see a lot of images that come into the community and there's no real separation. And although the person is clearly exposed in the front or in the foreground or in the middle ground of the image, that they have to be separated. There's no, breaking the rule. I'm going to say, no. You can interpret that rule. It's very hard to do. We call it coming out of the darkness type of shot. That's very difficult to do and pull off. The thing that I'm going to tell you is separate them. Get some edge light on there, and it's a real easy process to do if you put in a little bit of work. So keep that in mind. And you can see that light on his neck right there at the bottom. Yes, so that they can pop off the background, you guys. It is essential. Please, I'm actually gonna beg you here to separate, because you will get in a print competition, you'll get dinged up and down for not doing it. So you'll notice that in a lot of my images, there's always separations. I learned that the hard way. Now, in this next image that's coming up, I want to show you guys I want to show you this other shot where I use direction of light in a lot of different ways and also pattern of light. And this is a real interesting image right here. And this is a test shoot for me and a portfolio shot for the person that designed it. So I didn't design this. I just basically lit it and shot it with an emphasis on the hair. So as you can see, I went for a Rembrandt light. You see the little triangle formed underneath her eye, and you guys see that? The lighting pattern, the Rembrandt lighting pattern is a big triangle underneath her eye. This is, let me see, 1, 2, this is about a 3 light setup. Yes. I stayed very true and traditional to the lighting setup, to traditional lighting setup. So there it is right there. And as you can see, the person that designed the picture, they really wanted an emphasis on the hair, so I basically dropped a light, and I'm using strips, and you can see if you look right below her hair, you can see where there's an edge light. Yes, you can always use a reflector. A reflector counts as a light, so keep that in mind. And in Detroit, I'm probably going to be teaching I'm going to be teaching in a photo bay, and I usually get the beginner students. I'm going to talk about separation and how to approach it with just a reflector and a light. Is this making sense for you guys? This is very helpful. Drop in, let's do 3.3, 3.3, let's go. All right. There's Jersey Joe. So you guys, by the way, if you're just tuning in, my name is Keith B. Dixon, commercial photographer. We're talking about portraiture, lighting and separation, lighting and direction. And I'm doing a dual broadcast to YouTube. So you can actually pull it up on your television if you have Apple TV or any of that kind of technology. I'm right here for you. It'll make it easier to watch. And one of the reasons why I decided to make this switch was because people want to watch, but people don't want to watch and have their connection jumping up and down and going all over the place. So you know what? I'm going to take it to the experts, the people who are really good at live streaming or live streaming video, YouTube. So we're broadcasting on the YouTube, and then I'm going to rebroadcast this. This will be a replay on Facebook for all the Facebook folks. So thank you for the hearts, and share this out for me, you guys. Share this out, and you can subscribe to my YouTube page right on there. So, and then you guys know I'm going to be doing a podcast pretty quickly too. So I'm working on that right now. Would like to edit and watch it on TV. Yes. Okay. So let's go into this next part. It's going to get really interesting right here, you guys. So you guys know Michael Mills. He's in the Bomb Squad community. And if you're in the community, by the way, if you want to get to the community on Facebook, all you got to do is a group search. Use the hashtag Bomb Squad. hashtag Bomb Squad, and then you're just going to do a request to join. Now, I will look through your profile pretty extensively to make sure, there's no cussing and fussing, slipping and tripping, because we do have children in our group, children that are interested in photography. And, I just don't, we got to protect their kid ears. We don't want to be wrong influences as adults. So my man, Michael Mills, I hit him up in a message and he said, hey, go for it. All right, Keith, give me some feedback on this. So I was like, okay. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do a live edit as if I was actually at home doing it. And you guys, that's one of the benefits of the Bomb Squad community. Now, I gotta warn you, when I get super busy, the timeliness of these edits slow down because it's not a huge priority in a bigger sense. It's important, but it becomes a priority on a list. So I try to get to it on Sundays and when I'm doing live streams. So I'm going to critique this or I'm going to review this. Oh, and by the way, let's backtrack, you guys. I want to backtrack for a quick second. Hold on. Before I dive into this image, I want to backtrack. Hang on just a quick second. Okay, so I'm going to take you over to the Bomb Squad community so you guys can see what it looks like. Here it is right here. This is the original Bomb Squad community. And when you see that banner, you'll know you have arrived. I want you guys to pay close attention when you submit your images for the community. I want you to pay close attention to the submission guidelines. And they're right here. So in the submission guidelines, the thing that I'm going to ask you not to do is to include watermarks. Watermarks are distracting, especially for a reviewer. They're distracting. And please don't use the word CC, please, or CC welcomed. And I'm almost, matter of fact, that's almost frustrating for me because when I was a part of other groups and communities, people would say critical critique welcomed, and then someone who had absolutely no ability to review an image would get on and say all of these crazy things, and people would be arguing over what was said, and so it left a bad taste in my mouth. And that's the number one reason why I prefer to stay away from CC, critical critique. You guys, I just don't like it. So what's going to happen is if I see that in your header, I'm not going to add your work. And what happens is when we see it, we got to stop and message you and then look. It kind of holds up the process. So avoid using that. And if you want me to review it or Sheila Morgan has a BFA in photography, so she's more than qualified. If you want her to review it, all you got to do is just tag one of us or both of us. It doesn't matter. Just tag somebody and get it reviewed. Now, here's the flip side to it. We have what's called a non-review, and you just post it up and say review, and then it's open season. People could say whatever they want to say, as long as you're respectful of the person's image and it's constructive. So that's the key. And if you want to know what a review looks like before I start this one, I'm going to share this with you right now. So pretty much what I do is I sit down and sometimes I'll look at it for a day or two because the impact of an image changes over time. So here's a review right here. And I'm going to question if there's something wrong. I may question you about it. Like, what did you intend on this to be or do or whatever the case may be? So keep that in mind. All right. Is that making sense for you guys? Does that work? I want you to put in, let's go 4.4 if that's help. If that's going to be helpful for you. 4.4 if it's going to be helpful for you. All right, perfect. If you're just tuning in, Keith B. Dixon, commercial photographer. We're talking about portraiture tonight. This is very photographer specific tonight. So the scope is definitely not going to be for everyone. And let's dive into this. Okay, so when I first saw this image, one of the things that I like about this right out the gate is the exposure. The exposure is dope. And if you know Michael, this is he has progressed as a photographer. He has definitely. What's up, Rome? Looking forward to seeing you too. He has definitely progressed as a photographer, and his exposure game has grown. So I'm going to say that's the biggest positive in this photo. Now, style wise, this photo is going to take a little bit of a hit because using props now for senior photos is somewhat like wearing shell toe Adidas. I'm just going to say shell toe Adidas. Because when you think of shell toe Adidas, you think that's old school. So I'm going to say that the props are kind of old school, and I know it's studio, but if you're going to do studio, the thing that I would recommend is formalize it. So make it more formal. Have her dressed up really nice, and then do a nice traditional studio portrait. If not, I would do more environmental with kids and things that they like to do. Or you can do a Sean Lee, right? Have them bring in their own props and photograph them with their own props, and that's the recommendation I would make. Here's the other thing: um, perspective is everything, and you notice how the bottom is not straight. So that was one of the first things I noticed. The floor to background connection needs to be a little bit more cohesive. So not only is the angle, so it's a weird angle, and her body is open to the front of the camera, which makes her look bigger. So what you have is shoulders that are just as wide as her head. And what it does is it takes emphasis off of her, which is what we want to see, because we see more body. We see more body than we do her face, and that's this is more of one of those type of photos where the perspective and the style is going to dictate the photo. So, Michael, you're going to take hits on the style of the photo, yes, and then and that lends to the perspective. She looks compressed from here to here. And then the other thing, and this is small because you could edit this out, but I would the boots, all these specular lights on the boots, I would have edited those out, and this needs to. For me, this needs to be lit down in here because it's just a dark blob. So I would have lit that from behind somewhere. I would have dropped some type of light in there. So that's how I would have approached that. Is this making sense? You guys have questions? I'm going to pause for some questions really quick. And you guys, so if you're on the YouTube side and you have questions, it's a good time to put them in. If you're on the Periscope side as well, if you guys have any questions, let's do it right now. Thank you, Daryl. There's my man, Daryl Hutton, hype man extraordinaire. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the hearts, you guys. Any questions? I'm going to pause because I know there's a little bit of a lag in when the questions pop up. And I'm also, you guys, I'm doing a dual broadcast. Yeah, the floor has great texture. And that's the thing. Matter of fact, if I was going to approach this and I had a floor like that, I probably would have had her wear some boots, right? Yeah, 45. Yeah. I would have had her wear some boots, and I probably would have went with the texture of the wall depending on how it looks from behind. Because remember, that makes it studio environmental. So it's the environment of the studio. And I would have approached it from there, created a little bit more dramatic lighting, and put her, I would have most likely put her in a patterned shirt as opposed to a solid shirt with that background, just to give it a way more contrast. So, and maybe had her wear there's blues in there. I would have had her maybe wear some blues to bring out the blue in the background. Yeah, the hands. So yeah, we could So Rome is talking about the hands here, and so hey, there's my wife right there. So I've got my wife and my daughter on here. That's beautiful. Thank you, you guys. Any questions? So step by step, let me recap. I'm gonna wipe this away so you guys can see if you just tuned in. So here's a. I'm gonna assume this is a senior's picture. And hey, Michelle, what's going on? How you doing? So here's what I'm looking at. This is the first thing that really actually popped out at me is this separation from the floor to the background, and then the lack of lighting in here. That that was the first thing that I looked at, and then she's sitting square to the camera, and then her body. You see how wide the body is versus the head. So there's an issue of perspective and scale there. And then these numbers, since she's sitting down, she's smaller, which makes these numbers look bigger. So for me, this is more of a challenge of perspective more than anything. And then the angle of the picture is going like this. So, and it should be, and it's a, it's just a weird angle. So there it is. But Michael solved the most difficult problem, which is the lighting and the exposure on the face, the lack of glare in the glasses. So, and it's usually the other way around. People hit the poses and mess up, and they'll mess up the light. So, Michael, the thing that I would say is go back to the drawing board and look at all of these steps and just rehearse them and then come back to it. It is. Posing is one of the most difficult parts of photography that you're ever going to do as a photographer. All right, you guys. There it is right there. Keith B. Dixon. It's official. Any questions before we go? Any questions? If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be loading my 5-minute drills. What's up, Van? I'm going to be loading my 5-minute drills onto YouTube, and also I'm going to be podcasting as well. So, yes, Bomb Squad. Any questions before we get out of here, you guys? Any questions before we get out of here? How do you not get glare on glasses? That's a great question. So it's always going to be the angle of the light. The light's got to be higher than the glasses. So you just want to you got to get your light up high, and all you're going to do is get it on. You can take out the lenses, but that looks kind of weird. Because if you're on location with an executive and he wears glasses, you can't tell him to pop out the lenses. So what you're going to do is you're going to set your light up at 45 degrees, and then you're just going to raise it until you don't see the glare in the glasses. And then the thing that you have to know about this technique is you got to upfill with a reflector, not a light. It won't work. A light will not work. I don't care how small a light you use. You need a reflector, a big enough reflector to push light back and even. So I'm not a big fan of fixing any glare in Photoshop with glasses or any of that kind of stuff. I don't do it. So I'm not gonna even provide solutions on how to do that. I just don't believe in it. The thing that you want to do is shoot it properly in camera and know the technique that you need to perform in order to make that happen, you guys. That was a great question. So elevate the light slowly. You have the modeling light on, elevate, and watch when the glare disappears. You're going to know that your whole main light f-stop just changed. So you're going to have to go in there and meter that f-stop to see where it is. And so you're going to meter at the point source where the light is hitting the most concentrated. You're going to meter there, and then you're going to take another meter down low to see what the difference is, because you couldn't have the head slightly down. You can do that, but what if you needed the head slightly up? And what if the head slightly down flares their cheek lines and makes their face look fatter? So there's a lot you have to know. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to be a stickler about this. You have to know this technique in order to do it. And the bigger your light, the glare, the bigger you'll have to. Yes. So you've got to know what you're dealing with. Yes, this is true, Lamar. And if you got a big light, you're going to be in trouble, especially on low ceilings. So you have to plan that out. Can you bounce flash for indoor? Um, that's a tricky one as well, because if you're bouncing the light, so you still have to raise the light because the light comes out in directions all the way around, so it'll reflect. The best way to deal with it is definitely with a softbox elevated or an umbrella elevated. That might be a 5-minute drill for you guys. I might have to make a video on that and post it. All right, any other questions? Any other questions before we dive out of here? And the okay, go ahead. And one of the reasons, angle of reflection, yes. And the other thing too is when you catch those hot spots on the head, you guys, that's also angle of light and reflection. So it's just the light reflecting off the skin. You have to learn how to adjust for that as well. Any more questions? Go ahead, take your time. I'll wait for you guys. If you're just tuning in, Keith B. Dixon, if you fast forward up until this point, Keith B. Dixon, commercial photographer all day, every day. Welcome to the Kilo Bravo Delta Zone. You guys, it's official. I'm a commercial photographer, have been for, I don't know, for a while. Yes. They call me the hitman. I'm going to hit you with 2 T's, you guys, 2 N's. For nails, yep. I've used them all, and let me we're talking about constant light, and you guys with Fresnels, and it's just about shaping light and lighting backgrounds, and what you want that light to look like. If you see a dark spot, how do you put the light in to make it look natural? This is the thought process that goes into anything that you do. And the thing that I want you guys to know is I started my lighting career on constant light. So I didn't learn strobe right out of the gate. I didn't use strobe for about 5 years. Everything that I did was constant light and light temperature matching. And then I got into strobe. So when it comes to constant light, I'm going to tell you, I know the business about it. Trust me, let me save you some time and some heartache. So when it comes to this lighting stuff, I've definitely put in some work and studied with some real masters of the game in terms of what they knew. So there it is. Now, this is something, Fresnels are, it's mostly a Hollywood light, lights using, and there's all different types. People just don't use them. It's not, I'm going to say using Fresnels is mostly a studio thing, and it's the type of light that, you're going to use on a production more than anything, in the studio, and that's the big thing. So, and the low lights, all of that kind of stuff. That was how I was introduced to it. And to be honest with you, the reason why I went constant is because I couldn't afford strobes. So the constant, they were basically giving away constant light. So I just kind of bought whatever I could and made it work. All right. Any other questions before we dive out of here, you guys? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And before we go, one of the things that on April the 15th, I think April the 15th, do you know about nodal point? I'm trying to find a ball head with one. That's a new one for me. Thank you, Rome. Nodal. Tori's text me that. I'm not familiar with. We could, you could be calling it something different. So text me that, and it could be just a difference of wording. Okay, you guys. So I have the 90 PT program used for landscapes. Okay, yeah, definitely, because there's not a lot in terms of tools that I don't know about as it relates to that. So text me, because it could just be a matter of language. Here's a 90 PT program. I'm going to talk about lighting strategies and approach, because you got to know how to approach it. It's more than just using the light. Anybody can tell you put the light at 4 feet, do this, but there's approaches to lighting. There's things that you have to see. And what I do in this 90 PT program is give you an approach. What do I do? The person's face is round. What do I do? The person's face is oval. What do I do? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Which part? Which part of this? Like, what? Tell us about that. I definitely got to know because I want to put emphasis on anything that was of value. Let me get. Oh, you know what? It was probably the creative zone concept because that was what we did last. And you guys, here's the deal. In about 4 months, the 360. Yes. Okay. See. Yeah. In about 4 months, you guys, I'm going to be the red program will close, and the only thing that will be available is the blue program. Yeah, the religious point of view, the 360, invaluable. So we talk about lighting in terms of just how it works, and there's 2 programs right now. In the 4th month, the red program is going to close out, and then I'll restart that because it's just going to be too much to catch up on. Yes, too much. And wait till we get to the lighting, and just we're going to cover social media, how to promote yourself, all these strategies. We did 25 steps to win. This is about marketing. It's just an intense program, and if you do it, it's going to work for you just perfectly. All right, any parting questions before we get out of here? You guys, I got to go. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're on the Facebook side, see, I'm so used to saying that. If you're on the YouTube side, this is how we rock, you guys. This is the Kilo Bravo Delta Zone 705 Monday through Friday. My name is Keith B. Dixon. I cover everything across the board in photography. I am working on my podcast right now. You guys, it is time working on a lot of stuff right now, a lot. But I want you guys to have a good night, and I want to thank you for tuning in. Let me see ones and zeros. If this was full of value and you guys and you really extracted some value out of this, let me see ones and zeros, and let's get up out of here. Ones and zeros. Let's go. Peace.